All right, so let's now speak to political analyst Dr. Jonathan Asante-Otre, and he's joined us via phone for more on the rallies that were held yesterday. Good afternoon, Doc. Thank you very much for your time here on Newsbeat. What will be your assessment of the rallies from both the NDC and the NPP yesterday? Hello, Dr. Asante-Otre.
Hello, is this hearing?
Great, I can hear you now. Please go on.
All right. So I will start by saying that I think that these rallies were well organized. The patronage was huge on both sides. I will equally doff my hat out for the security, the police. I think this demonstrates to me that they are ready for the elections, and in terms of election security, and for that matter, wouldn't need the military in any form of intervention or interferences. And so, as for the optics in terms of the huge patronage, well, politics is very different, and human beings are very rational. And what happens is that when the time is due, they will take that particular decision. But the point ought to be made that I think that in terms of patronage, they were all patronized in equal measure because you don't even have the means to count the numbers. I think I've seen on a social media platform in terms of viewership, and that if within an hour, I think that if you look at that viewership, then it means that the NDC, the viewership was quite higher than that of the NPP. That, set apart, I'm of the view that they were well organized, and for the optics, they would have scored the same point.
Great. All through, we've heard the campaign messages from both the NDC's leader, that is John Mahama, and also that for the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Yesterday, we had them, speak again at these rallies. How convincing do you think that they were? And which one of them, in respect to their policies, can actually, make a change when they are voted into power?
Well, I think that is a very difficult question to answer. If I'm still supposed to use the social media platform as a means of judging the two in terms of reception, because those who were there wouldn't have been on the social media probably, then it means that the momentum is more on the side of the NDC than the NPP. Because it is taking the NPP, for example, to have the vice president, who is second in command, to have the president, who is the first in command, to have the former president, who is supposed to be a statesman, all campaigning, more or less, whatever message they would have put across, is against one individual, and that is Mr. Mahama. And if we are guided by history, we will then understand that, look, Mr. Rallies did a similar thing, Mr. Kufuor did probably a less similar thing. In all of this, it did not end well for those that they were yearning to take from their stead. And so it's not about the messaging. The messaging is all about a reiteration of things that they have said earlier, to all parts or to all and sundry in the various constituencies. So that place is just supposed to be a culmination, it's a summary of the things that they have said. And so that in itself will not in any way do any kind of damage or any kind of good. But to find a situation where, for example, national service is fraught in another corruption scandal, that in itself would not in any way augur well for the advantage of the party in government. And one way or the other, if you have the 6% of Global Info Analytics suggesting that these are still undecided, then probably they will have to take a decision along the line unless they decide not to vote. Other than that, if they want to do so, and you still have such a scandal going on daily basis, I think that the momentum will be on the side of the NDC more than the NPP.
Well, talking about those who are undecided, there are lots of Ghanaians, or some of them, have sentiments with regards to promises by, some of these persons or the political parties. As we go into the election tomorrow, what should the parties be able to do actually to change the minds of these people who are undecided? And how can they be held accountable for these promises that they make when they come into power?
Well, in terms of holding someone accountable when the person comes to power, I think that over the period we have witnessed the fact that if it is the same party, accountability is very difficult. If it's a different party, accountability is very feasible. Let's just take it from 2001, 7th of January, up to somewhere, 2009, 7th of January, when Mr. Kufuor was in power. We had a situation where we set up what we call Peace and Reconciliation Commission. And that was the time, for example, that a personality like the late Mr. Rawlings was hauled before it. And in that period, he had to speak. And whether it went well, it did not go well, there was some form of accountability. What that means is that power is transient. And you have to handle it in such a way that tomorrow, when you're answering questions, you will not struggle. I'm not by this suggesting that he struggled, but the point is that he was hauled before a Peace and Reconciliation Commission to give an account of his stewardship, which he did.
Okay.
And so you will have to appreciate the fact that, look, after that particular period, Professor Mills had a different mentality and a different trajectory in terms of handling governance. And so the NPP at that time, no matter the kinds of things that they said against them, that kind of accountability, did not hold. With a view of, Professor Kwame Nkrumah's book, if you look at that, then that means that Professor Mills had a different mentality. Fast track, NDC moves out of power, NPP comes, and then they try to, ensure that there is some kind of accountability based upon the kinds of things that they used against the NDC then in terms of campaigning. Of course, we have had one or two of them that have been incarcerated along the line. But if you look at the velocity and the volume of the things that they said at that time, that is not what we've seen. Today, you can still talk about the Opuni's case still in court, and they are still grappling with that particular issue. Probably, they may want to file a nolli prosequi if the unthinkable happens in terms of they losing their elections.
Okay.
Or the thinkable happens in terms of they losing their elections. And so if we are talking about accountability, and per the history that I've given you in terms of the Fourth Republic, it will be very difficult for Dr. Bawumia to give us that better accountability. But you only have to take someone else who is not on the ticket of the NPP to be able to give us as a nation that kind of accountability. I've asked myself, will Dr. Bawumia be able to investigate PDS, of which he himself waived off banking guarantee to go to an insurance guarantee? Will he be able to investigate that? Will he be able to investigate SML? Will he be able to investigate Post? Will he even be able to investigate the current one in terms of the NSA and many others that have come? Okay. Will he be able to investigate, Cecilia Paz, $1 million, $2 million that was found in his home, in her home, sorry. So these are so many and an uncountable number of these scandals. Will he be able to either decide to continue the cathedral or to investigate the $58 million,
okay,
so to speak, to dig a hole in this country? I mean, these are so many of the issues. So these are the problems that we are talking about as a nation.
Thank you very
much.
much.
If he doesn't have that capacity, then it will be very difficult for Ghanaians to decide to vote for him.
All right, Doc, we'd have to leave it here. Thank you very much for your time. Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere is a political analyst and a senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast. You're still watching News VTN now. To the quarters of the NDC and the flag bearer of the party, John Dramani Mahama, has called on Ghanaians to seize the moment and vote for change in the upcoming election. In an address during the party's final rally on Thursday, Mr. Mahama emphasized the critical nature of this election, urging citizens to use their votes to unlock a better future for the nation. He also highlighted the urgency of the situation, stressing the upcoming election is a defining moment for the country.
My fellow Ghanaians, I cannot do this alone. Your vote is your voice. Your vote is your power. And your vote is the key to unlocking a better future for the people of Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, I urge you to take action on Saturday. This is not a decision we can leave for another time. It is not a decision we can leave for another election or another generation. This is our moment, and the time is now to bring about the change we need in order to reset Ghana. We need to reset our democracy, to reset our governance, to reset our economy, to reset our finances, reset our agriculture, reset our infrastructure, environment, reset our health and education sectors, and everything else that we hold dear as Ghanaians. The vision to build the Ghana we want is a collective responsibility. And so let us vote on Saturday to reject despair and to choose hope. Let us vote to reject impunity and choose respect. Let us choose hard-working and trustworthy leadership. My comrades, Ghanaians are going to hold us to a higher standard than they have held the NPP. And I want to remind you once again that there is no use fighting for political power if we would come and commit the same atrocities that they have inflicted on the people of Ghana these last 8 years.